Hey everybody, this is Jamie Pate jumping right in here with a scrapbook layout. I know, terracotta showing up again, and I can't wait to share with you how I fuddle so much with this. All right, everyone, like I said, we're dipping back into terracotta. That's just kind of like the collection of the month. And so, yes, I'm diving into the frames again. I've had a lot of requests about the frames. I'll touch back on that in a minute, but I do want to say, if my hand gestures do not match my audio, that's because I had to come back in here and completely redo my audio. But, you know, it's a one and done with these layouts. So I am willing to come in here and do just that. So just be patient with me. I've reached into my stash and I've grabbed out the rub-ons. And you're going to see these rub-ons get crushed here with several projects I have in mind. But I liked the You Do You Best. It's actually a little running joke between my sister and I who this layout is about. Through our journey the last several months, we would just look at each other at the end of the day and say, we just really got to do better. And it was like, we knew we couldn't. We knew we could only just show up with ourselves. And so that was my little ode here to her, was you do you best. And we do. We just do ourselves the best we can until we know to do better. And that's really what it came down to. But it was an excuse to grab this photo, which I love so much. I actually am digging into last November. I'm going to show you here in a minute. I don't want to get you ahead of myself. I'm going to show you here in a minute something about last year, but Distress Spritz is in the house, and that tattered rose is part of the newest bundle that was just released, and I could not love it more. It is constantly on my workspace. It's so beautiful. So we're going to be digging into that. You are going to be experiencing me fuddling with these frames again and again and again. It's almost hysterical, but it's just, I think we all do it, right? We just have an idea. We think the idea is going to work. Then it doesn't really work. So this is just kind of me warming up here a little bit and talking about where I want to go with this. But you're going to see that this is actually going to be going in several directions. But I kind of think we are here just for that. So I'm reaching for my Storyline Chapters album. This is last year, 2023 stories. It's really sketchy, meaning there's not a lot of stories in there, or I just have things like that just kind of paper clipped in there. I need and want, I shouldn't say need, because I want to get more stories in here. And so I'm starting today with this particular story. So here's last year's October, November, December book. There's not a thing in it. And so I'm just embracing it. We just can only tell the stories we can tell. But this is where this page will live once I get this scrapped out on this page. Does this look familiar? We made this in last week's YouTube tutorial, and it's going to be living on my page today. And it is, if you're not familiar with it, it's an acetate pocket that's going to hold that journaling tag. And I'm loving bringing it into here because I have a whole element already made and ready to go on the page. At this point, I'm trying to figure out exactly where my rub-on title / sentiment is going to live. So I'm kind of playing with that a little bit. And there's going to be some prompts throughout this video to remind me what I'm sharing with you in the next image. So to start, I am going to add in some of the more artsy part of the terracotta rub-ons. I'm going to start up here in this upper left-hand corner. This is a formula I reach for time and time again. If you do take any of my online classes, if you've watched any of my very few art journal page tutorials, this is a concept that I use again and again. Maybe I need to break out of it. I don't know. But right now, this is what I'm doing. So I'm taking another piece. I'm not really sure what to call this. Makes me think of a satellite radar image. And it's going to go live down there at the bottom right-hand corner. So I'm adding those rub-ons in, just kind of speeding this up throughout. I use a lot of rub-ons here, and I talk about it quite a bit here on this page. So I don't want to bore you with all the details of a rub-on and how to get it transferred properly. But take your time. Come back and add more. I had a little extra piece that I'd cut off, so it's getting some exposure there as well. And then there's this splattery part that I'm cutting out. I cut my rub-ons. I crush them. I just cut them up. And I love it. It's like stamping in a way. But I'm trying to figure out where can I put this little splotchy rub-on so that it can still also show through around my elements on the page. And that's kind of what is happening right here. You're going to see, though, this is not how this page ends up. Actually, you already did see since you saw that little sneak peek at the beginning. And so that's where it's going to live. And this is an easy way to add artsy, painterly, what do I want to say, elements to a page without getting too messy, although we'll get messy here in just a moment. So I'm pretty happy with where my layouts are now living. I'm going to grab the Distress Spritz Rose, Tattered Rose. Did I say that? Tattered Rose? This is Tattered Rose. And my little homemade splat box. Please forgive the focusing here. My camera doesn't know where to focus. Right now it's going to focus right here. And I'm talking about how you got to make sure you shake up and get that pearlescent part out of the bottom of the sprayer. And then I'm coming in here with only half sprays, which makes this real splotchy kind of effect on the page. You can go real fine if you go all the way down and kind of fast. I went slow, and so I'm just sharing here that I got the splotchy look that I needed. I'm actually going to end up covering quite a bit of this up, and then I'll come back in again. So I'm going down to the right lower corner. So just like I did my rub-ons, that's how I'm layering in the Distress Spritz. It's another layer to our page, right? Big old splotch is on this one, and that's okay because it's going to get covered up. And while you're allowing this to dry, you can go on, well, I went on to work on my first frame. So I know for sure I'm going to have 3 frames. And right now I'm deciding where my sentiment is going to live. And I really love these little tabbed tags, if you will, but they're kind of big. They're going to not show up my quote very well. This here is a cutaway from the back of the Laser Cuts packaging. Take advantage of that because you might find how much you use it. I've actually been using it quite a bit. So I want to tuck it in under the tag a little bit. Under the tag, I mean the frame. I want to tuck it in under the frame a little bit. So I'm just going to add the rub-on to that top tab right there. It's the only thing I'm going to add to it. I am pushing it up kind of towards the top as high as I can go because I know that I'm going to tuck it in and I don't want any of my title to be obscured. And so that's why that has a little bit of space there at the bottom of the quote, is because it's there on purpose to make sure I can tuck it in to the frame. Finishing that up, I think I'm going to go ahead and reach for the frame here. Yes, and fuddling. That is our middle name. I'm going to distress my tabbed tag as well. Then I'm going to reach for the 1/8 inch foam adhesive strips. Love this adhesive so much. Love the width of it. And what you're going to see, I'm going to end up at, okay, don't get it on your photo. Let's put that out of the way. So what you're going to see is that I'm going to add this foam adhesive strips to 4 sides. But I'm going to need to come back here in a minute and fix the bottom edge because I did not create space to be able to tuck that in. And I don't even know what I was thinking. So, you have some time to just pull that up if one needs to. And that's exactly what I did. And then I'm going to tuck. Yeah, that works. Ta-da! That works out well. So now I'm going to go ahead and add additional adhesive to the top of that tag. So it's going to then sit on the frame at the little top portion there. Okay, and that one's done. I'm going to prep the next frame. This paper here is part of the ephemera pack, and it's a lightweight text weight paper. It's not a cardstock. But anyway, I just wanted to back up the frame this time. And it's going to end up a sort of shadow box sort of vibe because I'm going to elevate the frame again over the paper. You saw how I traced it and trimmed it out to the dimensions of the frame. And that was the idea there, that it's just going to kind of be this shadow box sort of. It's going to be sort of a specimen frame slide, if you will, as you will see as I get finished. Because why? Because I need to have some butterflies on my page. I just do. It's a thing. I think it's written somewhere in my DNA that I have to have a butterfly somewhere in my page layouts. Grabbing the butterfly from the laser cuts, and it too is going to be elevated inside of my DIY shadow box, right there in the middle. I needed to, make sure the wings are pulled up there, Jane. Good job. So I will fuddle with that for a little while. So I'm just going to skip right to the sentiment. And this is a Together Forever. I'm just going to cut out the together because that is about what this page story is, as well as the together of my sister and I through so many things. And so together seemed to be an appropriate little subtitle, if you will, for my shadow box. And we're going to also pop it up as well. And we're wrapping up our second frame. So this is kind of an idea of just sort of prepping the elements and getting them all ready to go and then putting it all together. Because the other frame is ready to go, right? I had that from just a previous making session. Just what can I make? What can I do with this lovely collection? And that acetate frame pocket came out of that. And then I just hang on to it. I'm loving trying to focus on a singular collection. It's not 100% because sometimes other things come in. I'm not that exclusive, but I've started to kind of change up a little bit how I go about the making here. And it's kind of creating this cohesiveness in my mind, which I am really loving. So you see how I changed this up already? This is the second change now as I'm not sketching this out. I did kind of sketch it out, but it didn't work. The elements weren't feeling right. Here she goes again. I changed everything. I felt like the color and the size of the photo, which I could have resized differently. If you've taken my Print Your Photos class, we talk about that. But I felt like the weight of that photo felt better in the bottom right-hand corner. So that is exactly where it needed to live for me. And everything else rather, basically fit in like puzzle pieces to me. So the top frame is going to hold my title, and I kind of like it at top like that. I'm going to bring in now, I was going to back this up on a frame, but that other frame is too large for the page. So it is already framed my pocket. So it's good. I'm good with that and how that looks. It feels good to me. And that's kind of what fuddling is all about, right? Does it feel right to you? Does it match up with your brain? And it was. It's exactly what was happening here. Now this little tiny square together butterfly frame is now in place. I knew I wanted to have some stems coming out from the back of my title tag. These leaves are going to do that job for me, but I'm going to cut it up. And if you're taking my class that comes next, it's going to be released in about another week. You're going to see that laser cut come back into play again. Hang on to your scraps, people, because you never know when you're going to use them again. I'm just going to glue those into place at the bottom little edge. You're going to see that happen, and that's pretty much done. What else? Oh, there's this little tiny butterfly in the laser cuts. Look at that thing. It's just so cute. So it needed to live on that leaf there too. So that is how this page came together. We're going to wrap it up here at the very end, and I'll see you in that segment.
All right. So I added a few more of the Distress spritzes to it. I covered up the photos and I just add a little bit more just to have that showing. But I like how this came together. There's a lot going on this page, but I love it. I love the clusters. I love how warm it feels. I love there's still focus on the photo. And I loved using these frames. These frames are so fun. I'm having such a good time challenging myself on how to put them to work. And there's so many more ideas I have in my head. So I hope this was helpful to you. My hope is always that you've gained something of value that you can add to your own stories, your own pages, your own journals, your own art journals, whatever it is that is your medium. I hope that you can find a way to implement these ideas on any of those for yourself. So thank you so much for watching today. All the supplies are listed in the description, plus a link back to a couple other videos I've already put out there using those gorgeous terracotta. So let me know if you have any questions, any thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video.